Hi, my name is Amy Fleck, and today I'm going to show you one of the ways that I like to incorporate STEM into my everyday life. Just a reminder, STEM stands for science, tech, engineering, and math. Throughout this presentation, the photos are either taken by myself or they're from Unsplash. If they're from Unsplash, the photographer is credited in the bottom right. A lot of the projects that you encounter in the STEM world start with a problem that needs to be solved. When I think of a problem that I want to help solve, I think of the massive amount of waste that we create every day as humans living on this earth. I also add to the problem myself, and I'd like to think of ways that I can cut back. So, I think I know what I want to do. I want to create something out of recycled materials that I otherwise may have thrown out. But what? So, I think I'll start with who or what the project is for. I love animals, plants, and the outdoors in general. That's where I'm going to get started. Lately, I've been seeing a few hummingbirds floating around the backyard. I don't have any feeders out for them, so perhaps I could create something for them. I've also noticed a lot of honeybees hanging around the herb garden and flowering trees, so something that gives back to them would also be ideal. If you can't tell already, I love my backyard and all the plants in it. I would also like to find a way to spruce up the patio that's lacking greenery right now. I have some hooks already mounted above the patio. I already have a lot of houseplants inside, but I wouldn't say no to another planter in there as well. I'd like to bring the outdoors in. After that, I needed to think about realistically what I had at my disposal. Even with all the materials in the world, I need tools to manipulate them. I took mental stock of the things that I have, like a hot glue gun, drill press, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, beads, etc. My goal was to not use anything new. So, I mentioned earlier hummingbird feeders or planters. Those things already exist. What I want to do is create something unique out of recycled materials. The alternate versions of those are chunky plastic, not unique. They come in material that just has to get thrown away, like cardboard and plastic packaging. While poking around online, I discovered something new about bees when I was trying to figure out what I could do for them. When temperatures increase and rainfall subsides, the bees have trouble finding water that's safe for them to drink. I learned I could make a bee watering station, and I think I'll make one for the bees that like to hang out in the herb garden. Before I show you how I went about making everything, let's loop back to STEM real quick. For science, I'm addressing biology and nature. For tech, I'm using the internet for research. For engineering, I'm working with what I've already got to make these projects. And for math, I'm going to have to measure things throughout this experience. So, I got inspired by the materials that I already had laying around my house. We've got some glass bottles that I soaked the labels off of, some nail polish I didn't like the colors of anymore, some glass beads, some florist wire, and some random pairs of pliers. So here's the first project. It's a self-watering planter. I started by scoring a bottle and then dunking it in hot boiling water. Once it was heated, I dunked it in an ice bath, which made it crack along the line that I had already scored, separating it into two pieces. Next, I took it out to the garage and I sanded any sharp edges. After that, I used drywall tape to close off the neck of the bottle, creating a place to put the soil. Then I added a string with a knot at one end that reached the bottom of the bottle where the pieces stacked together. If you don't have drywall tape, that's okay. A small piece of potato sack or any other loosely woven fabric will work just as well. So here's the planter all assembled. Do you see how the string extends past the neck of the bottle? This is how the water will move from the reservoir at the bottom into the soil. In the end, this planter has fantastic drainage and is really low maintenance. I kept mine pretty simple, but you could use different colors of string or a colorful bottle to make the planter unique to you. Next up is a little hanging planter. I used an old piece of rope and some wire to make this one. The glass jars are yogurt containers that I thought were too cute to send off to glass recycling. I hung the planter from a hook already in the covered area of my patio. If you don't have a green thumb, you could always make something similar to this to hold some tea lights. Next up is a hummingbird feeder. I painted the top of an empty minced garlic jar with nail polish, then added a little beaded leaf to the side of the jar. I was trying to make it enticing for the hummingbirds. Then I drilled holes in the lid of the jar so the hummingbirds could drink. If you don't have a drill press, a handheld drill or a hammer and nail work too. I added a chain and hung it from the patio. I'm sorry I couldn't get a picture of the hummingbird using the feeder. I might need a fancier camera for that. Inside the feeder is a little sugar water that I made on the stove rather than buying hummingbird nectar in a plastic container at the store. I recognize that the last few projects require special material and know-how and could have been a little bit intimidating. To address the needs of the bees, I'm keeping it simple. Tuna can, thoroughly cleaned, rocks, and a bit of water. You've got yourself a bee watering station. The rocks give the bees a place to perch while taking a drink between all their busy work. Here's the final roundup of recycled material projects I created. I reached my goal of only using things I already had at home, found new uses for materials that would have just been tossed away, and addressed the needs of some animal friends in the backyard. I'm happy to have created some new homes for plants too. If none of these projects did it for you, here's a few more artsy ones I've done in the past. Wall art of my cat made from old plywood, a collage with an outdated map and magazine cutouts, and a giant painting that's still in progress on some cardboard. The big project I've been working on lately is a cat condo made from a big box that's paper mache with recycled paper grocery bags. If you're interested in finding new uses for recycled materials, getting started can be as simple as an old spaghetti sauce jar as a vase. I hope I've inspired you, and I challenge and encourage you to try to incorporate STEM into your everyday life like I've done here. Start with something you're passionate about, and the rest will come easy. Thank you for watching.